Hi everyone, I'm Tabitha and today we're talking about tropes. Tropes is a term we throw around a lot in the literary community, but basically, tropes are just literary elements or cliches that we use over and over again in stories, common things that you would find in many stories. A lot of writers or readers have some really strong opinions about some of the tropes that have been overused. In fact, their use is really controversial. If you were to ask every author or booktuber you follow their 4 favorite or least favorite tropes, you're going to get a lot of different answers because it seems like we can't really agree. But one thing we can agree on is that it's cool to take a trope that we may recognize and change it just a little bit. You may have noticed I'm in a different location today. That's because today's theme is all about change. We're going to talk about 4 tropes that I've seen way too much of lately and ways you can change them up to make them a little fresh, a little new, and more interesting.
A few disclaimers before I start. First, I don't think there's any trope in the history of tropes that immediately makes a book unreadable. Second, yes, I'm aware that all the tropes I'm about to talk about today can and have been used well.
So today we're going to focus on the 4 tropes that I'm a little tired of because I've seen them used too much, and how they can be changed to add a fresh take to your story. Let's dive in. The first trope I'm a little tired of seeing is the damsel in distress trope. So what is that? Well, this is one you've probably heard of. Basically, a girl in the story, usually your heroine, is going to encounter a problem she has no idea how to solve, sit back, panic, and wait to be rescued. Why am I tired of this? The main reason why I'm tired of this trope is because it's kind of dangerous. We're telling girls that the only way to handle a problem they don't know how to solve is to sit back and wait for someone else to solve it for you. Now, critics will tell me that this is actually a good thing. We're teaching kids that they can reach out to people when they have a problem, and other people will help them solve it. Well, that is kind of true. I don't want their initial reaction to be freeze, panic, and wait. Instead, I want kids to learn how to make a plan, or make a plan with help from someone else, and attempt something, instead of waiting for someone to come along and rescue them. I do want kids, girls in particular, to know their own weaknesses, yes, but I also want them to know their own strengths. And I'd like to see them try to use their own strengths as a way to help them through a problem. And yes, I would like there to be a community they can reach out to, but I don't want them sitting around and waiting for someone, some hero, to come rescue them. So what can we do instead of this trope? Write heroines who take the time to make a plan. Write heroines who talk things through with other people. Write supportive friend groups who bounce ideas off of each other. Write heroines who save themselves. If you feel like you must use this trope, try flipping it. If you want a character to panic, freeze up, and need to be rescued, can it be a male? The second trope I'm a little tired of seeing is the plain Jane. So what is that? Plain Jane follows a heroine who isn't classically beautiful, typically as they fall in love with someone who is. Why am I tired of this? The main reason why I have a problem with the plain Jane trope is it's instantly taking outer beauty of both of your characters, the non-classically beautiful girl and the classically beautiful love interest, and putting them on blast right away. You're making their number 1 redeeming quality, their number 1 interesting quality, their exterior beauty. And I gotta be honest, I kind of hate that. Critics will tell me that they've seen this done well if it's only an imagined imbalance. If it's in the character's head, for example, and the character thinks that there's an imbalance, that they're not classically beautiful, and that the other character is. Now, while I would argue that that can be done well, I don't immediately love that either. We all have really negative self-talk, but a lot of times in these books, the outer talk coming from other people in the story or side characters is often really negative and enhances that plain Jane feeling instead of making it go away. Even if the book is written to try to take a stab at that negative culture, oftentimes it perpetuates it by including some of that bullying or some of that negative language right there in the story, and that's one of the reasons why I'm really tired of seeing this trope. So what can we do instead of this trope? Give us the inner dialogue of both characters. Make it seem like the perceived imbalance is actually from both of them. They both perceive that the other person is stronger in one area or another. Have that play out in the story. Maybe take the society completely out of it. This needs to be completely inside of them, not something that's constantly built up and reinforced by society. Maybe Cut beauty out of it altogether. Instead of making it a plain Jane on an exterior beauty, instead try making it something inside. Maybe make it intelligence or strengths, or even an outside factor like salary that isn't immediately beauty. For a more drastic flip to this trope, try completely changing the definition of classic beauty in your story. Get rid of the idea that a man has to have chiseled abs or that girls have mountains of cleavage, and instead make the thing that's classically beautiful in your story something totally different. The third trope I'm a little tired of seeing is stereotyping. So what is that? This is categorizing an entire race or group of people by one specific trait that would thereby make them either all good or all bad. An example I can give you from a fantasy world would be making orcs destroyers of nature and therefore bad. Why am I tired of this? The example I gave you might not seem like one to have a problem with, but after all, orcs aren't real. In stories, more often the stereotyping is happening to things that are real. People are being stereotyped for skin color, where they live, where they work, where they're born, accents, anything. Typically, where we see this trope falling into play is either in a character who doesn't have those stereotypes, thereby making them entirely different and unable to fit into their society, and the book is going to follow them, or the stereotypes are perpetuated by side characters. Oftentimes, it's not even essential to the plot, it just happens to be there. I have to be honest, I'm a little tired of both of those. They're creating this dangerous cycle where characters are all fitting into these stereotypes or they're outsiders, and there's no third alternative. In reality, we're all different. I have traits that do fit in with some of those stereotypes, but I also have traits that don't. And I would like to see some of those played out more in characters. So what can we do instead of this trope? Write diversity. Write characters who are different and are yet still accepted by their culture. Write good characters who do bad things. Write bad characters who do good things. Basically, the bottom line is write characters who make us think, not characters who let us assume. If you want a more drastic flip to this trope of stereotypes, try writing a world where something that our society judges as good is actually bad, or vice versa. Challenge the stereotypes. The fourth trope I'm a little tired of seeing is the reluctant hero. So what is that? Basically, the protagonist of our story is going to be thrown into a situation they have no desire to be a part of. This character wants nothing more than to return to their normal life the way it was before. But they're going to have to finish the quest they've been assigned because, as it turns out, they're the only one capable of doing it. Why am I tired of this? The biggest reason I'm a little tired of this trope is that it's not realistic. We back out of things all the time. We quit jobs, we get divorced, we leave relationships. We do it all the time. So why are we trapping our heroes in these situations they literally cannot get out of? This trope also assumes that there's no one else out there in this world you've created that could step up and take on this role. For this to work, you better give me a really, really good reason. Otherwise, I'm instantly going to hate the situation, society, or person who put your reluctant hero in this situation to begin with. The other reason I think I'm a little tired of seeing this one is your poor hero is a slave. They want to get out of this. Why on earth are we not letting them out? So what can we do instead of this trope? Give them an out. They don't have to take it. But the fact that you put it out there in front of them that they can see, one that forces them to actually analyze the situation and think about pros and cons before making their choice, is going to make your book that much stronger and make us understand why this task needs to be done in the first place. Write a volunteer. Maybe there's someone else in the society who actually wants this job. They're willing to step up and step in and take it. Maybe let them take over. Or maybe let them partner up with a hero and they're going to conquer this thing together. If you really want to go drastic and flip this reluctant hero trope, stop making the story about the hero. Instead, let's make the story about the person who's going to volunteer. Maybe they volunteered, they didn't get the role, it was given instead to this reluctant hero for whatever reason, but we're going to stick with that volunteer for the rest of the story while they pair up with this person and watch them or help them or do it for them in order to get the problem solved. Show us the character who believes in this task that much, that they're willing to support the person who got the job instead of them. Okay, that's it for me and the tropes that I'm a little tired of. If you have a trope you're a little tired of seeing, drop it in the comments to let me know. Or if you're an author who has a book available now where one of these adjustments or flips that I just talked about is in your story, drop the name of the book in the comments so that we can all check it out. If you loved what you saw today, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Hit subscribe so you know when I'm back. Keep plotting the path to your dreams, and I will see you next time. Bye!